application process, since most of the job applicants have to apply online, do you have facilities for them to apply, training on how to apply online?
We actually have computers.
You do?
Yes, we have computer banks. We teach them how to use computers, some of the more common programs. Now again, you know, we can't have internet access because, trust me, everybody would be signing up for it. But we've had a few issues. You know, keep in mind, we're talking about a group of people that aren't always on their best behavior, and they actually started a dating site within the database. And so we would bring male inmates in, use the computer lab, and then they would leave. We would bring female inmates in, and somebody embedded a thing in there, and we found it. And all of a sudden, you know, inmates are writing inmates, and we're wondering, what's the connection? How do these people know each other? They all go to computer lab. So, you know, it's a tricky process, but we do actually have computer labs, and they are taught some base programs in there. It's not enough. In the new facilities that we're building, we're actually designing some bigger rooms with those sorts of things in mind, and we're hoping to get some things donated from some of the larger computer companies to give back to the community and hopefully a tax write-off.
I have a question. Going back to 287G, I'm also part of the Orange County Detainees Program. So I know you explained how it works for you guys, but I'm wondering what's the incentive in the first place to place those tags and to have those deputies, you know, looking out for immigration status, seeing that they're already serving their sentence?
Well, one of the things that had come up over the years is that, and again, you got to keep in mind, Orange County is a county that has been tough on immigration, is that criminals from other countries are coming into the United States using our resources and committing crimes, and then we let them out and they go and commit those crimes again. And so there was a push to say, no more. If you're going to live in our country, you're coming from another country, you cannot keep coming back to our jails. And so that was really the impetus for that. That was several years ago when Sheriff Mike Corona was in office. I was not at that time of a rank to be in that discussion, so I don't know what the direct discussions were, but the real impetus for it was the fact that we had a criminal element that continued to use our resources, and if we were to deport them to their country of origin, then that would be that country's problem. We would no longer have that burden. And so what it has morphed into is usually not what it starts out as, and so there are differences of opinion over whether or not that program should be in place, and I respect that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say from my experience, what I've seen and what I've studied has been that's, for me, I feel like more of a misconception of the community and a criminalization of the community that we often hear in the media and everything. But, for example, the person that I'm visiting, he came when he was 9, and he has a daughter here, and now he's facing possible deportation. He has a psychological disorder, so, you know, he's self-medicating, has drug use problems. Very minor nonviolent crimes, so I just feel like as the, you know, county police, that it's more maybe a responsibility to the county, like to keep families together, to keep our community together, so like the cooperation between ICE, their goal, I feel like is very different from what would actually be making our community safer, because now his family, you know, is going to help support them, and we see that a lot, so I don't know how you guys kind of balance that.
Well, and you got to remember, you know, we're the Orange County Sheriff's Department. We are not the global arbiter of what happens in our communities. That's a collective effort of the community. I think what you're seeing is, for a long time, you heard, you know, illegal immigrants are the source of all problems across the country. There was a big push in that regard. I think the pendulum has swung the other way. In fact, I just spoke to a reporter from McKee. It's an AM channel now, not one of those that you hear often. But the federal government is now looking at reducing the ICE budget and the number of people that they have in custody. And so a lot of this is political, and a lot of it is driven by the loudest voice. And so I think you are seeing a lot of people who share your opinion that are becoming much more vocal, and I think it's having an impact. And so that's probably the bigger solution to that problem. As I mentioned before, we have 2,000 people with open mental health cases in our jail. We are a jail system, but we have become a social system of mental health care, family reunification. And so we are much more than what a jail is. We will never reach a level in solving the problems that you mentioned because, quite frankly, our primary function is to run the jails, not to solve those social dilemmas. Now, we're a partner in that, but it's going to take a lot more than the sheriff's department to solve that.
And if we can go on to the problem with mental illness, here we are again being penny wise and pound foolish. We are treating the mentally ill in the most expensive way with the fewest results. What, I mean, you said it, 2,000 out of 6. 7.
Well, 1,000 of those are ICE detainees, but yeah, 2,000 of our inmates, so over 30%, yeah.
That's incomprehensible.
It's the 85,000.
And 85, what?
85,
I think you said $85,000 per person.
No, that was for hepatitis C treatments of our
Okay.
felons.
All right, well, how
But,
much would, just to ballpark, do you have any idea what it might cost you?
they say our criminal justice system in the county is about $1 billion when you add in the sheriff's budget along with the district attorney and the public defender and all the other things that we do. I don't know what the entire budget would be. It's a moving target, but I will say there aren't too many places in the community where people are looking to deal with these issues and to actually come up with hard solutions to them. We're at the place where if nobody else wants to do it, they land at our doorstep. And so we are supportive of coming up with some of those solutions. One of the things that you hear a lot about is Laura's Law, which allows for law enforcement agencies and others to actually put people in mental health facilities against their will. Now, when you empower the government to do that, that scares people. Because I guarantee you, it's not a perfect system, and there may be someone that may be held that maybe it isn't necessarily the best thing for them. And so the fear is litigation for civil rights violations. And so it was enacted and only one county decided to take it up. Orange County is now looking at that. And from a selfish perspective, I would love to see that happen because what generally happens, there's a cycle to it. We get people treated, we get them medicated, they come in and they are in a very destabilized state. We get them into the routine of being in the jail. They're medicated, they go to treatment, they go to counseling. They get to where they get, as they refer to it, I get normal again. And then they go out into the community. Now we partner them up with social services and some others to get that ongoing treatment. But once they leave, there is no ability or authority for us to control what they do. And generally speaking, it's that cycle of they don't want to take their medications because they feel like they're less in tune with things. And I think I'm stable now and I can handle it. And then eventually, for a little while, they'll go on just fine, but eventually the demons that they're facing will come back. They go through that behavioral change where they get back into that state of mental illness. And then somewhere along the line, they commit a crime. And the easy solution is put them back in jail and treat them in jail. And so we're trying to break that cycle, but there are very few resources that are funded and available for those sorts of programs. They're starting to grow. And there are grants that are coming in through social services and through Obamacare.
Yes.
Now, that's what we hope to do through Obamacare is to get people into the resources that they need after they complete their jail sentences and they complete some of the programming in there. But Obamacare is something that, when it was sold, it was a big book and they voted on it overnight and it went into effect, but nobody really looked at the details of it. And so there are a lot of conflicts within that about how to fund these things, what sort of mechanisms are in place to make sure that the providers are getting the funds to pay for these programs. And so all of those things are starting to happen, but until they do, we're faced with the situation.
And we save money. One more thing. There's another thing that we've heard over and over again. I hope you tell me I'm wrong. I hear that people, when they are put out of jail, their sentence is up. You put them out at 12, at 1 minute after midnight to save, and that way you get paid for their being in the jail another time. And they're out on the street. Please tell me I'm wrong.
You're mostly wrong. Let me tell you what happens. I do not get a penny more if, the myth is that if I keep them until 1 minute after midnight, I get the extra dollars for that day, even though they've only been in my custody until midnight. And then I hold the door, and as soon as 12:01 hits, I open the door and everybody runs out. I don't get a penny more. In fact, it costs me more money to hang on to our inmates than it does to put them out of our jail. My goal is to have as few people as possible in our jail system because I don't have the money to maintain the services for the inmates that I do have. And so there is no benefit to me to keeping somebody until midnight plus 1 minute. The only exception to that rule is with ICE detainees. If they are in our custody at 12:01, ICE pays us a bed rate for every day that they are in our custody. I don't release ICE detainees. ICE comes and picks them up and takes them to their facilities. So I have no control over when they come and when they go. That's entirely up to ICE. So there is no incentive for me to hold people until midnight. What program I did institute a few months ago is we project out who is going to be getting out of jail in advance. And what we do is we take them by the van load over to the probation department Monday through Friday. And we have a resource center there, and probation has some resources as well. We actually release them in the probation building during the day. Now, we can only do that with people who are convicted of crimes that are non-violent, non-serious, non-sexual offenses. Now, when I first started this program, we took them by the van load, we brought them in. 909 Main Street is where the building is at. And I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but right across the street is the Orange County Performing Arts School. They were not happy with me. I didn't think about that when I did it, and unfortunately, I was letting these folks out at the same time that kids were getting out of school. Scared the bejesus out of the whole community. And so we worked with the city of Santa Ana to modify that, but a huge chunk of our inmates are being released through that process. But keeping in mind, inmates go to court in the morning, they get back from court at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. Orange County is way behind on their computer and their data system, so a lot of things come across as paper from the courts. So the sentencing comes across for an inmate. We have 300 or 400 people a day that go to court. So the court paperwork comes in, we have to check and make sure all of it is in order. It takes several hours. We start processing those people through who the court orders released. They may have served their sentences, they may have been found not guilty, all of those things. We have to get them out by order of the court as quickly as we can. And oftentimes when that paperwork comes in at 6 o'clock at night, it comes in with errors, or a judge doesn't know that somebody has a hold from another county, or the sentence calculations are improperly calculated by a clerk at the court. We have to reach out to the court and make sure that we're not releasing somebody early or in a way that the court didn't intend. And so what happens is the evenings in our inmate records division are very busy. It's a beehive of activity of processing this paperwork, getting these people out of our system, and then moving them out. So people who are released from court that same day, sometimes it does happen late at night, and they are let out as late as midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning. The people that we bring to the resource center, we offer them bus passes, employment things, and a lot of other things. We give some of those things to the folks that get out late at night, but those resources aren't open to them late at night. And so we do allow them to stay in our lobby. We have phone access in there for them to get a ride. There's a taxi service that's right outside there, and obviously not everybody can afford that. But is it a perfect solution? No. Do we benefit by keeping them in jail longer? Absolutely not.
On that happy note, I think we're going to have to end because it's 12 o'clock. We said we wouldn't keep you later, and then we could ask questions after. Did you want to add something to that? Is that what you?
If I could.
Do you mind waiting for a minute while it's because I don't want to.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, because the question had come up with, like, what can we do now to help support what we're doing? And I would invite anyone's participation in, the Orange County Rancher Partnership especially. We act as kind of a community voice, amplifying the voice of whoever participates. Our meetings are typically held up in Santa Ana. The schedule is on the website, ocreentry.com. But we can move the meetings around. So if there were some really interested, committed folks that are in this part of the county or in any part of the county, we can move that meeting around to different places to make it more convenient for travel. Also, if you sign up on the website, you can get kind of our emails that go out. We send a lot of emails out that say, hey, this is coming up at the Board of Supervisor meeting. If you want to come and say something about it, or there's this news article that you could speak to. And I don't have to be as sensitive as Steve does to about the whole, raising your pitchfork thing.
Tell him Jeff sent you.
I'm not in that class of needing to worry about it at this time in my life for a moment. But so I can take advantage of the fact that, yes, there are plenty of things that we as citizens can do in terms of having our voice heard at the county, Board of Supervisor meetings. Myself, I've gone to the podium several times in my career to express my point of view, to educate, to advocate for something. Do it in a really respectful kind of way, making sure that you're coming from a good place and it's not about being negative or confrontational, but just making sure that your voice gets heard. Letter writing, if you're part of any other groups besides coming here, if you're part of any group where there's just a few people together, collecting maybe letters of that group together and then presenting them together on one of the board offices. All the board offices all have staffs, and each staff group has an expert for different topics. So every Board of Supervisor and every elected person we have has a staffer that's their job, is to know what's going on in the policy area for substance use, criminal justice, public policy, and so forth, or public safety. And that's their job to kind of gather up what's going on in my constituency's opinion around this topic. And so when the elected usually wants to make a decision about something, many times they call their aide in and say, oh, you're my aide on public safety. What's our constituency saying about this? And so I would, if you really are genuine about wanting to try to get to expressing your point of view, that's the magical person to get to, usually, is to get to their staffer and make sure that that staff person knows that this is my point of view. In fact, my next door neighbor's point of view too, and in fact, it's people at my church's point of view too. Here's the letters that go along with it. Those can really, resound. Writing letters to the Orange County Register as a, public comment, and sometimes they get published. There's a lot of different points, a lot of different ways to get our message out. If you're a Facebook user, OCREP, O-C-R-E-P, we have a Facebook page as well, so you can just search for it on Facebook and you can follow it. And we do like news articles every day practically on different things that are going on, and calls to action on things and whatnot. So I hope that helps. I'm not saying come with pitchforks, because I really don't think that's generally a good way to do things anyway. But I think that there are some really handy, powerful ways to make yourself heard when you don't really need one. And it's worked for me in the past.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Jeff. I would like to add one last thing, particularly as people get involved in these sorts of things. It's not an easy thing to change. You will hit dead ends, you will have frustrations, and sometimes those frustrations will be with me. I have a lot of competing interests and things that have to be accomplished, and I get approached 100 times a day by people who have very important things that they want to accomplish, and we just can't accomplish each one. Sometimes it's moving piles a little bit at a time, and so when they say the wheels of justice move slowly, they're not kidding, they really do. And so I would ask for your patience with us, with Jeff's OCREP group and others as we try to move forward with this. But I think collectively as a community, we can have a voice, and I would ask you to be that voice. Thank you.
He's given us 2 hours of his time plus his transportation from where he lives to here, and he's talking about he doesn't have much time. So we're taking this video. We've done a video of this presentation so that it will get out to other people, and you might want to. Who's going to have the video?
It's going to be on YouTube, and there's
going to
be
on YouTube.
discs.
Hold on.
It's going to be on YouTube, and it's also going to be on discs, and we're going to
We're having it on
distribute
disc.
it out.
We're going to also present it to someone who will help give it out to some of the people in the schools we'll have, so some of the young people, because we really do need a lot of young people interested in this. And so Steve, thank you so much
My pleasure.
for being here.